Today's video will be a bit different from the usual. We're going to tell the story of Moses in a quiz format. If you enjoyed it, please give it a thumbs up and subscribe to the channel. If you didn't like it, let us know in the comments why. Our goal is to create videos that you enjoy and learn from. Question 1. What is Moses' role in the Bible? Option A. Moses was a famous king of Israel. Option B. Moses was a fisherman on the shores of the Dead Sea. Option C. Moses was a prophet and leader of the Israelites. Option D. Moses was a royal scribe at the court of Jerusalem. Option E. Moses was a spice trader in the desert. The correct answer is option C. Moses was a prophet and leader of the Israelites who played a crucial role in liberating the Hebrew people from Egypt. Moses guided the Israelites through the desert, received the Ten Commandments, and played a significant role in biblical history as the leader of the people chosen by God. Question 2. Where was Moses born? Option A. Jerusalem. Option B. Canaan. Option C. In Egypt. Option D. Sinai. Option E. Zimri Desert. The correct answer is option C. In Egypt. Moses was born in Egypt as indicated in the biblical narrative. He was placed in a basket in a river to escape the pharaoh's order to kill Hebrew babies. Question 3. In which river was Moses placed as a baby? Option A. Amazon River. Option B. Ganges River. Option C. Nile River. Option D. Danube River. Option E. Thames River. The correct answer is option C. Nile River. According to the biblical narrative, Moses was placed in a basket made of reeds and set afloat on the waters of the Nile River to escape the pharaoh's order to kill all Hebrew babies. He was rescued and became a prominent figure in the history of the people of Israel. Question 4. Who found Moses when he was left adrift in the Nile River? Option A. An Egyptian priestess. Option B. The pharaoh. Option C. A Hebrew shepherd. Option D. A foreign trader. Option E. The pharaoh's daughter. The correct answer is option E. The pharaoh's daughter. When Moses was left adrift in the Nile River, it was the pharaoh's daughter who found him and adopted him as her own son. This situation was crucial in Moses' story as it led to his upbringing in the Egyptian court. Question 5. Who was the pharaoh's daughter who found Moses in the basket in the Nile River? Option A. Nefertari. Option B. Miriam. Option C. Hatshepsut. Option D. Meribah. Option E. The pharaoh's daughter is not named in the Bible. The correct answer is option E. The pharaoh's daughter is not named in the Bible. According to the biblical narrative, the pharaoh's daughter who found Moses in the basket in the Nile River is not specifically named. The other options are names of historical Egyptian figures, but are not directly associated with this story. Question 6. What was Moses' tribe? Option A. Judah. Option B. Benjamin. Option C. Ephraim. Option D. Levi. Option E. Asher. The correct answer is option D. Levi. Moses belonged to the tribe of Levi, one of the 12 tribes of Israel. The tribe of Levi had a special role, being designated for service in the tabernacle and temple, including priestly functions. Question 7. What was Moses doing when he saw the burning bush? Option A. Building a temple. Option B. Fishing in the Nile River. Option C, harvesting fruits in the desert. Option D, tending to the flock of his father-in-law, Jethro. Option E, searching for water in the desert. The correct answer is option D, tending to the flock of his father-in-law, Jethro. Moses saw the burning bush while tending to the flock of his father-in-law, Jethro, on Mount Horeb. It was during this moment that God called Moses to lead the Israelites out of Egypt. The other options do not correspond to the situation described in the biblical narrative. Question 8. How did God appear to Moses in the burning bush? Option A, as a bright ray of light. Option B, in the form of a voice from heaven. Option C, as a dense and dark cloud. Option D, in the form of a fire that consumed the bush. Option E, in the form of a fire that did not consume the bush. The correct answer is option E, in the form of a fire that did not consume the bush. God appeared to Moses in the burning bush as a fire that did not consume it, symbolizing his presence and holiness. This experience marked Moses' calling to lead the Israelites. The other options do not reflect the specific description of God's appearance in the biblical narrative. Question 9. Where did Moses receive the Ten Commandments? Option A, Mount Everest. Option B, Plains of Mesopotamia. Option C, Mount Sinai. Option D, along the Nile River. Option E, City of Jerusalem. The correct answer is option C, Mount Sinai. It was at this location that Moses had the crucial encounter with God and received the Ten Commandments, which became foundational to morality and ethics in the Judeo-Christian tradition. Mount Sinai played a significant role in the biblical narrative, symbolizing divine connection and the fundamental principles conveyed to Moses. Question 10. What was the sign that God gave to Moses to prove his authenticity on Mount Sinai? Option A, transformation of water into wine. Option B, Moses' staff turned into a snake. Option C, multiplication of loaves and fishes. Option D, instant healing of leprosy. Option E, halting the movement of the sun. The correct answer is option B. Moses' staff turned into a snake. On Mount Sinai, God gave Moses the sign of transforming his staff into a snake as proof of his authenticity and authority to lead the people of Israel. Question 11. Who was Moses' brother who assisted him in his mission? Option A, Zacchaeus. Option B, Eleazar. Option C, Aaron. Option D, Gideon. Option E, Joshua. The correct answer is option C, Aaron. Aaron was Moses' brother who played a crucial role alongside him during the leadership of the Israelites, including serving as the first high priest. Question 12. What is the name of Moses' wife? Option A, Miriam. Option B, Leah. Option C, Zipporah. Option D, Ruth. Option E, Moses' wife is not mentioned in the Bible. The correct answer is option C, Zipporah. Moses' wife is named Zipporah, as mentioned in the biblical narrative. She played a significant role in Moses' life, being an integral part of his journey and support. Question 13. What was the last plague that led to the liberation of the Israelites? Option A, hailstorm of stones. Option B, supernatural darkness. Option C, death of the firstborn. Option D, Swarms of locusts. Option E, transformation of rivers into blood. The correct answer is option C, death of the firstborn. The last plague that led to the liberation of the Israelites was the death of the firstborn, when the angel of death passed over Egypt. This final plague convinced the pharaoh to release the Hebrew people. Question 14. What was the first plague cast upon Egypt by Moses? Option A, swarms of mosquitoes. Option B, supernatural darkness. Option C, death of the firstborn. Option D, frogs invading the land. Option E, the water of the Nile turned into blood. The correct answer is option E, the water of the Nile turned into blood. The first plague cast by Moses upon Egypt was the transformation of the water of the Nile into blood. This plague was part of Moses' attempts to persuade the pharaoh to release the people of Israel. Question 15. What did God give the Israelites to eat in the desert? Option A, fresh bread. Option B, fish from the Nile River. Option C, lamb meat. Option D, exotic delicacies. Option E, manna. The correct answer is option E, manna. In the desert, God provided manna as food for the Israelites during their journey. Manna was a substance that appeared daily and is described as the bread from heaven in the biblical narrative. Question 16. How did Moses part the Red Sea? Option A, he touched the water with his feet and the waves parted. Option B, Moses recited poetry and the sea automatically opened. Option C, a group of dolphins appeared and formed a corridor in the sea. Option D, he simply extended his staff and God opened the way. Option E, Moses made a stop sign and the sea obeyed, dividing itself. The correct answer is option D. He extended his staff, and God opened a dry path in the middle of the sea. Question 17. What mode of transportation did the Israelites use in the desert? Option A, horse-drawn carts. Option B, riverboats. Option C, Gulfstream G6 airplanes. Option D, angel wings. Option E, a cloud during the day and a pillar of fire at night. The correct answer is option E, a cloud during the day and a pillar of fire at night. According to the biblical narrative, God guided the Israelites in the desert through a cloud during the day and a pillar of fire at night. These phenomena were signs of divine presence and also served as guides for the people during their journey. Question 18. What happened to the original tablets of the Ten Commandments that Moses received on Mount Sinai? Option A, they were stolen by enemy spies. Option B, they mysteriously disappeared. Option C, they fell and broke during a storm. Option D, Moses broke them when he saw the Israelites worshiping the golden calf. Option E, they were lost in the desert. The correct answer is option D. Moses broke them when he saw the Israelites worshiping the golden calf. Moses broke the tablets in response to his indignation at the people's idolatry. This symbolic act represented the breaking of the covenant between God and the Israelites due to their disobedience. Question 19. What did Moses do to heal the bitter waters at Marah? Option A, recited an incantation. Option B, asked for help from the priests. Option C, built a new well. Option D, he threw a tree into the water, making it sweet. Option E, used a magic wand. The correct answer is option D. He threw a tree into the water, making it sweet. When the Israelites reached Marah, they found bitter and undrinkable water. Moses, under divine guidance, threw a tree into the water, making it sweet and drinkable. This action demonstrated God's providence and the healing capability through Moses. Question 20. What was the name of Moses' sister? Option A, Sarah. Option B, Anna. Option C, Leah. Option D, Miriam. Option E, Esther. The correct answer is option D, Miriam. Question 21. Who was Moses' second son? Option A, Gershom. Option B, Joshua. Option C, Nadab. Option D, Eleazar. Option E, Miriam. The correct answer is option D, Eleazar. Eleazar was Moses' second son, born during the time when Moses was in exile in Midian. Question 22. What was God's punishment for Moses and Aaron for disobedience at Meribah? Option A, they were transformed into stone statues. Option B, they were banished from the camp. Option C, they lost their divine powers. Option D, they were struck by a plague. Option E, they did not enter the promised land. The correct answer is option E. They did not enter the promised land. God's punishment for Moses and Aaron for disobedience at Meribah was that they would not enter the promised land. According to the biblical narrative found in the book of Numbers, chapter 20, Moses disobeyed God while leading the Israelites in the desert. At that time, the people were suffering from a lack of water and complained to Moses and Aaron. God instructed Moses to speak to the rock so that it would provide water for the people. However, Moses, seemingly frustrated with the people's complaints, instead of speaking to the rock, struck it twice with his staff. Water came out of the rock, but God was displeased with Moses' disobedience, and as a result, he was punished. This episode highlights the seriousness of leadership responsibility and the importance of obedience to divine instructions. Question 23. What was Moses' initial occupation when God called him to lead the Israelites? Option A, priest. Option B, army general. Option C, blacksmith. Option D, fabric merchant. Option E, shepherd. The correct answer is option E, shepherd. When God called Moses to lead the Israelites, Moses was shepherding the flock of his father-in-law, Jethro, in the wilderness. This experience as a shepherd was significant in preparing Moses for his role as the leader of the people of Israel. Question 24. How did God communicate with Moses in the desert? Option A, through angelic messengers. Option B, through prophetic dreams. Option C, through thunder and lightning. Option D, through a cloud. Option E, through an audible voice. The correct answer is option D, through a cloud. God communicated with Moses in the desert through a cloud, which often represented his presence. This form of communication was a visual manifestation of divine proximity during the Israelites' journey. Question 25. What happened to the golden calf that the Israelites made in the absence of Moses? Option A, it was hidden in the desert. Option B, it mysteriously disappeared. Option C, it became a symbol of worship. Option D, it was melted and transformed into an idol. Option E, It was sacrificed as an offering. The correct answer is option D. It was melted and transformed into an idol. In the absence of Moses, the golden calf that the Israelites made was melted by Aaron and transformed into an idol, becoming an object of worship. This action was contrary to the laws and commandments of God. Question 26. For how long did the Israelites wander in the desert under the leadership of Moses? Option A, 20 years. Option B, 40 years. Option C, 60 years. Option D, 80 years. Option E, 100 years. The correct answer is option B, 40 years. The Israelites wandered in the desert for 40 years as described in the biblical narrative. This journey was a period of trial and learning for the generation that left Egypt on the way to the Promised Land. Question 27. What was Moses' punishment for disobedience? Option A, he became blind. Option B, he was exiled. Option C, he lost his divine powers. Option D, he could not enter the Promised Land. Option E, he became speechless. The correct answer is option D. He could not enter the Promised Land. Due to an episode of disobedience, God decreed that Moses would not enter the Promised Land. This was the punishment that prevented him from experiencing the final destination of the people of Israel. Question 28. How many years did Moses live? Option A, 80 years. Option B, 100 years. Option C, 120 years. Option D, 150 years. Option E, 200 years. The correct answer is option C, 120 years. Moses lived to be 120 years old, as mentioned in the biblical narrative. This longevity is highlighted as a significant period during which Moses played crucial roles in leading the people of Israel. Question 29. Where did Moses die? Option A, along the banks of the Jordan River. Option B, in the Sinai Desert. Option C, in Egypt. Option D, on the summit of Mount Nebo. Option E, in the Promised Land. The correct answer is option D, on the summit of Mount Nebo. Moses died on the top of Mount Nebo overlooking the Promised Land. Although he was not allowed to enter the land of Canaan, God permitted him to see the land before his death. Question 30. Who succeeded Moses as the leader of the Israelites? Option A, Samuel. Option B, Elijah. Option C, Joshua. Option D, David. Option E, Moses had no successor. The correct answer is option C, Joshua. Joshua was chosen by God to succeed Moses as the leader of the Israelites. He played a crucial role in leading the people to the Promised Land after Moses' death. We've reached the end of today's quiz. So how many questions did you get right? Do you feel like this video helped you learn more about the life of Moses? Would you like to see more content like this? Let us know in the comments. And don't forget to give the video a thumbs up and subscribe to our channel for more content like this.